Hi, I'm Rev.Jessie Brandon, and I'm a life cycle celebrant and an ordained minister. And you are watching Epiphanies. This is the place where I get to bring the two things I love the most in the world together, books and people. And not necessarily in that order. Anyway, I hope you're in your comfy chair and you've got a nice drink and you're going to watch us for today. So I have with me today Shane L.S. Dennis from Unity Market Cafe. And I just don't even know where to start with you, Shane. There's just so much about you that we're going to talk about later. But as I say, Shane is the owner of Unity Market Cafe on Toronto Street. He's a musician, a composer, on and on. It's just wonderful to have you here today, Shane.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Shane, we're talking about, let me just show my viewers, we're talking about The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And this is an incredible book, and without further ado, I'm going to ask you, why did you choose that book for today?
I chose this book because it's one of my favorite books. You know, I like to do a lot of reading, but I find that it's one of my favorite books because of the simplicity of it, as well as the complex things that you may find if you maybe read it again or really reflect upon it. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the simple lessons are seen within anybody's life, I feel, that would read the book. And so it's an incredible story. It's very inspiring. I find it humbling. And I found it extremely relatable to my own life. And as I said before, I'm sure anyone that read the book would find that there's these little golden nuggets, if you will, of similarities that they could relate to themselves. So it's a book filled with lessons and love and a journey and, you know, experience and self-discovery and so many things. And and it's quite a short book as well, so there's a lot of incredible jewels packed into it.
Perfect. So it's interesting because I have done this book before on the show, but I'm really glad that you're doing it again, because before it was a female perspective, if we can break it down that way, and of course now I want to know if I want to know what the male perspective is. So when you say it is a book of small, simple things, and yet it's complex, can you give me an idea of what each of those things are? What's a small simple,
well, if I could read something from the book that illustrates that
would be wonderful.
Yeah, and so it's near the very beginning of the book, and so to me this is something that's small and very simple, yet it, you know, reading it's just a nice reminder of, you know, a lot of the simple things to, you know, be grateful for, or to maybe shift our perspective if it needs to be shifted. Mm-hmm. And so it says, the heat lasted until nightfall, and all that time he had to carry his jacket. But when he thought to complain about the burden of its weight, he remembered that because he had the jacket, he had withstood the cold of the dawn. We have to be prepared for change, he thought, and he was grateful for the jacket's weight and warmth. And so, you know, something as simple as that, I find a lot of the times in our modern world with so many things and so much going on, and a lot of the time chaos, we can get very complainy about things. And it's just a reminder that, you know, yes, maybe something's a bit of a burden in one perspective, but then in that time when we feel it's a burden, we're probably forgetting what it is helping us with. Yes. Or what the, you know, the warmth that it is providing us.
Yeah, it's the absolute perfection of the full circle right there.
Yes.
Very cool. So what has this book meant to you particularly in your own life?
In my own life, again, I've as I'm sure, and I've heard that many people find the book extremely relatable to their own life, and so obviously that's a sign of a very well-written book and an incredible mind of an author, and spirit and soul and all of these things combined. So to me, it was just very reminiscent of my own, easily translatable to my own journey and some of the maybe struggles or views that I was taking upon things, and just being like, it was like an epiphany of, aha,
yeah.
Right, okay, these things in my life, I can totally relate to this book, and it's very eye-opening on a level where maybe you get it a little deeper in your soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the beauty of this particular author, is that when he does write, you see yourself.
Right.
And that's a gift, I think, when an author can help you to do that. So have you loaned it out? Is this your own copy?
Yes. No, this is my own copy. It's actually my second copy, because I've loaned one out many years ago. I've read this book a few times, and actually more recently I decided to listen to the audio book as well, which I don't particularly do, but in that I'd read the book a few times, I thought it would be an interesting perspective to just sit and listen to it. And
is it read by the author, or does someone else do it?
You can find a few different audiobooks online. The one that I listened to was not the author, no. I don't know that you can find it read by the author, which would be great, because who better could read it than the one who wrote it? Maybe.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So set the scene for me. Where are you when you're listening to this audiobook? Because I don't do that very often myself. In fact, I think I've only tried a couple of times because I find my mind wanders. So set the scene for me.
For sure. The scene is just very quiet, calm place, because I find it similar with the listening of, say, an audiobook, which I really don't do much. It's just with this particular book I've read quite a few times, so I thought, so it'll be a different perspective or intake of listening to it as opposed to reading. But at the same time, I find the similarities of, for me, reading, if it's in a busy place, I would prefer not to read there. I like to be more where there's no distractions. And then sometimes I can get into a book where it's just anything could be going on, and I'm so into it that all else is silenced. Yeah. And sort of the same, I guess, with listening to an audiobook. I'd prefer to be, the setting is, peaceful, quiet, not too many details, I guess, of what it needs to be, but just I would prefer, a more peaceful, quiet environment.
I have you pictured in my mind in one of those big red chairs that you used to have in Unity,
yes.
And a little footstool and a lamp beside you, listening to.
Yeah.
So that's what I was envisioning in my mind. So isn't that funny, the difference in perspective? Because here I am, I've got you all cozy and nurtured in a nice, snuggly place, and you're thinking about noise, and that's funny. So. What is there something else in the book too? I mean, we've talked about the simplicity and yet the golden nuggets and the complexity of it. Is there a particular message that you would want people to get from reading this book?
Yeah, well, and I may not get it exactly correctly, but along the lines of, when you follow your destiny, your dreams, that the universe works to conspires to help you along that way, as well as one of the phrases in the book along the lines of, where you find your treasure, you also find your heart, and vice versa. And so, and it's interesting because I read this book now for the first time probably almost 20 years ago, and read it several times. But it was interesting for me because the book soaking into my soul. I found, at times when things were happening to me in my life, I was like, this is, what this book was saying, or, other things that I've read along the lines of, when we do set out to accomplish our dreams and goals, it's like that light of the desires of the inner child. Things will conspire to help you along the way, and not all of the journey is easy whatsoever, but often in time we will find that things at once we thought were a curse, later on we'll find that it actually was a gift. And so, yeah, I guess the book, again, it has so many incredible lessons and little phrases of, positivity and encouragement. And I think one of the things overall, too, as the book ends, is that, we need to go on this incredible journey to find that what we were looking for basically was within ourselves, or right under our nose, so to speak.
It's like, isn't it Frost that wrote the poem about, I set out to, to discover and find that I have come home to myself. I mean,
Right.
I'm really paraphrasing, but
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's exactly right. And I loved what you said about, I'm going to have to paraphrase you too, but what I heard was, when you commit to following your dream, the universe conspires to give you what you need.
Yes.
And I love that, because I think that for me, I think that's what people misunderstood about the law of attraction, is they thought if they just said, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, that the law of attraction would bring you that. But it's my perspective on that you have to be working towards that.
Right. The
you know,
actions.
That's right. It's the actions that matter, that tell the universe, yes, I'm committed to this. Yes, I'm working for it. And of course, being raised in a very religious home, for me, it's the good Lord helps those who help themselves. And that's so true. Like,
Absolutely,
you've got to be committed to your journey. You've got to, even if you don't really know. I love, somebody said to me that it's like headlights. They only show you so far ahead, but that's all you need to see.
Right.
You have a dream, you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, but you just keep going, you just keep following the light, and you
Right.
get there, and the light continues to help you. So I think that's such a beautiful analogy.
Well, yeah, and it's similar to a one where if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal.
Yeah,
right?
oh,
and
yeah.
so, it's like, that's the destination, and little did we know that we had to go this way, and that way, and this way, and that way, and this way. And then maybe when we get to that, it was a little bit different than what we pictured when we were back here, but part of so much of the greatness is just the journey in itself, and all these discoveries that we make, of self-discoveries of our connection to others, to our planet.
Yeah.
The journey and often the struggle is what helps to reinforce those connections. If we choose to strive to keep in a positive mind state, even when things can get really rough, it's like the things really develop for you at that time when you're almost going to give up because it's too much of a struggle. It's like that's when to push on like never before, and you will see these, your dreams manifest into reality.
And I know I've told this story before on the show about how I was heading to a speaking engagement, and I don't use notes, so I was just kind of prepping myself on the way there, and I was thinking about my past and the things that had happened to me, and I instantly changed that to happened for me. And I realized that every challenge I'd ever had, I was now counting as a blessing, because it taught me so much about myself, about what I wanted, about other people, about who I needed to be in the world. I couldn't say that there was one thing that wasn't a blessing. And I think that's a real gift to be given when you come to a point in your journey and you're looking back, when you can say, it was all worth it, I wouldn't change a thing.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
So, speaking of changing things, let's talk about you. So you are the proud owner of the Unity Market Cafe.
Yes.
And how long have you been there?
Well, coming up at the end of June, it will be 8 years since the very beginning. It's gone through some of its transitions and whatnot in that time, but yeah, it's 8 years coming up. So I always sort of say against all odds, in that, you know, it is a very unique, different place.
It just has.
It's become a bit of a mecca for many people, if you will.
Yeah, it's got a vibe there that just is so beautiful. I love it there. I don't get there often enough.
It's lovely in that a lot of very spiritually in tune people or intuitive people will come into the place, and immediately they're like, this feels like home. And I do humbly feel that that is because I've poured my heart and soul into what the place is. And related to the book, it's like when, you know, the depths of our soul and desires, you know, for me, I've, since a child, as far as I've known, it was a destiny to contribute positively to humanity, and, you know, loving the beauty that life is, but also recognizing the struggles that, you know, we face as humanity, that the world faces. And so wanting to just help make a positive difference towards those things was like, that's in the depth of my soul. So that helps to, you know, get over any hurdle or break down any barrier. And so pouring those kind of things into my art, to me the place is like a gigantic art project, right?
Yeah.
It's a living thing. And so when, people come in and you know, really appreciate it, and they get it, they feel it, that's like the most incredible feeling, or, you know, that's priceless. It's very, I guess, self-fulfilling, but in a selfless way, where when your true intentions is to help and to share positivity and try to inspire joy, and then you see those things coming to fruition, it's like,
it just must
that's
make
an
you
elevation even further, you know, it's infinite elevation, infinite love.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I was going to say, you must just tear up sometimes.
I do, yeah.
I was going to say, you see.
It's tears of joy, for sure. And that is, it's sometimes hard to explain in words, but similar to the book, The Alchemist, it's like, or The Alchemist, I jokingly say, well, maybe not a joke, but that I am an alchemist, and as we all are to our, and it's like turning nothing into something, right? And so yeah, it's unity is, I guess, to speak about it a little bit for those that don't know, so it's a cafe that we're focused on fair trade and organic. My chef Stacy, she makes everything in-house, and we also, you know, when things in season, big focus on local produce. It's also the largest selection of local art to Barrie, so always looking for new artisans' work, from painting, photography, jewelry, handmade, whatever. And then the majority of the building in the back is a recording studio. I am a musician myself. I feel, you know, that music is one of, if not the, in my perspective, the most powerful tool of influence or medium of influence. And so, yeah, a recording studio, an art gallery, food, it's sort of like creativity. It's also become a hub for social and environmental initiatives. And yeah, just community involvement. I nickname it the Inspiration Station.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah.
Yeah, I created something in one of the houses I owned. The basement wasn't finished, so I couldn't afford paint, so I called all my friends and I said, have you got any leftover paint? And we had a big bucket and we just mixed it all, painted the place, and it was a beautiful, warm, kind of a yellowy color. It was really nice. And I called it Angel Station for that very reason, because I wanted the angels to know that they had a place they could rest at this place and be with us there. So I love Inspiration Station. And I love that you have so many activities that go on there. I've been to Word Up. I've been to other things there. You have I'm going to mess this up, a jam session.
Yeah, well, would you like me to tell you? Okay,
yeah.
So some of our monthlies are, yes, Word Up, which is a poetry and authors night. So that is the second Thursday of the month. Once a month, whenever the second Thursday happens to fall on. It's from 7 till 9:30ish, and we always have a few scheduled readers, and then we also have a section, the second duration is an open mic for authors or poets who would like to share their work. We also have a monthly drum circle, which is on the second Friday of the month, and that is just an open, drum circle, djembes, all those kind of things, and people are always welcome. If they don't have their own drums, there's extra ones for people to come and bang out on the drums and catch the vibe. And so that's the second Friday of every month.
I'm going to jump in.
Yes.
Because I did an Irish wedding in January and they bought me a bodhrán from Ireland. Can I bring my bodhrán?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know how to play it yet, but I want to learn. So. All right, and so what time is that? So
that is 7 to 9:30 again on the second Friday of the month. And then some weeklies that we have are, and an exciting one is, because coming up an anniversary of it, so the Cypher is every Tuesday night from 7:30 to 11, and it is a live improv open mic jam focused on conscious hip hop and the art of freestyle. Nice. So it's all off the cuff, it's a very positive vibe. Musicians from any background are welcome. People are welcome to take part. People are welcome to watch. There's people that are extremely experienced and very great at the craft of freestyle rhyming, and then there's people also that are just beginning and have never done it before. Everyone's very welcoming and encouraging. And so actually on Tuesday, March 26th, we have the 400th Cypher. So I've been throwing those every single week for almost 8 years. And that one's incredible because it's definitely a bit of a younger crowd, but there's also some of the people that come are, for one friend, he's 70 and he loves the vibe, right? Yeah. And it's a great energy. And it's also, with hip-hop particularly, unfortunately in the mainstream, a lot of negativity is seen. Now hip-hop emerged out of speaking out against oppression. It was about community. It's about using arts instead of violence and negativity that's on the streets. And so I am a musician of many sorts, but a conscious hip-hop musician, and so for a long time working with youth and helping to seed positivity within the messages that they're writing in their music. And the Cypher is a very inspiring foundation for young artists to grow. So that is another weekly. Another weekly that we have, which it's a weekly, the winter's hit and miss, but we usually do about 40 of them a year. Is the community cleanup. So we meet on Sundays at Unity. We're not open in the cafe on Sunday, but we meet there at 1 o'clock, and then we go out around the downtown and Lakeshore and we clean up garbage. I
think that's so fabulous, and bravo to you, because I know you've been doing it for so long, and I just admire you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Well, I think it's hard to estimate exactly. I mean, I've done more, I guess, rough calculations of, all of the weeks, but we've been doing that on a weekly thing for about 6 years. I've done it previously on my own for a long time. And we've picked up tens of thousands of pounds of garbage off the street and out of the lake and whatnot. And
so do you provide equipment when people come?
We do, yeah. We have garbage bags and then a garbage hoop, which is actually alchemy of turning a coat hanger into a circle with a handle to loop your garbage bag over. Yeah. And then we also have gloves and pickers that are like
I have one of those pickers, so I'm bringing my own next time.
Yeah. So we have the tools for that, and it's a fun time. See, I have a philosophy that's like, if we don't respect our environment and we don't respect each other, then we don't have respect for ourselves. Now, obviously, this comes from within self to realize and appreciate those things and help to put them in line. And so, to me, a lot of the issues that we face as humanity today in the world can be a bit overwhelming. Now, to me, they're all connected in some way. They're connected in terms of love, in terms of respect. I mean, those simple things, right? And so showing respect for all things is ourselves, for others, and for our environment, community, is to go out and make a positive difference by, you know, helping to beautify, clean up the city, helping to plant positive seeds in people's minds, helping to, the visual of people seeing people do these things is inspiring. And so, yeah, it's such a simple thing to do. I mean, and the bigger issue is maybe, well, why are we still creating so much garbage? But it is a, you know, grassroots movement and stepping stone to, you know, becoming less wasteful in our planet.
I also think that you can't force people to see these things, but you can witness to them by what you do.
Right.
And again, that's a Bible reference. We were always talking about witnessing and bringing people home to Jesus. Well, as far as I'm concerned, how you witness is how you act. What you show people is who you are.
Absolutely.
And when you show them respect for self, respect for others, and respect for our environment, they get curious. You know, how's that working for you? How'd you do that?
Well, because I do believe that, you know, we all have great goodness inside of us. You know, I always say that I have, from the purity of me to the purity of anyone else, I have so much love, right? Do I have love for people that do heinous things? No. Because I feel at that time they're acting out of their purity. But I do believe that we, you know, we all want to be happy, and we all deserve love. And so, yeah, it's we just are, we're all inspiring each other in one way or the other. And so when we become conscious and aware of this, we then get the choice of, hey, how am I going to inspire?
That is just such a beautiful message, Shane, and I thank you so much. I wish I had a longer show, because I'm just so mesmerized by your heart that I can feel and see, and I just love it. And I thank you for taking time away from Unity and being here with me today and talking about The Alchemist. And I just got to say, I love your socks. Thank you for taking your shoes off. There's not many people that are brave enough to do it, so that's terrific. Thank you. And thank you to my viewers for dropping into Epiphanies. I'm glad you were here with us today, and do come again here on Epiphanies. I'm Reverend Jessie Brandon. Thank you.
In Touch here